Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another glorious episode of the Tents Tabernacles Podcast, where we meet God through the person of Jesus Christ. Bow, bow, bow. Bow, 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 bow. Woo!
Yay! Yay! Welcome back, everybody, to the Tents and Tabernacles podcast. This is episode 12. Can you believe it?
No, I
12
can't
episodes.
actually.
12 episodes is like, if we do one a week, I mean, what's the math on that? That's like 3 months of
Yeah,
podcast life, at
yeah,
least, because we've done a few bonuses too.
yeah. I saw on Spotify when it did like the year in review for our podcast,
Oh, what did it
and
say?
it said that we've done like 1,000 and something seconds of or minutes of
Of
like
play?
content over 10
What?
episodes. So it wasn't even counting the ones for today, the one that I
Oh,
posted today.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
man.
like, mm-hmm,
We out here. We
we
out
out here,
here. We out here. And we ain't stopping. So
period.
we appreciate everybody who has been listening. We have a small group of listeners, but they listen.
Hmm.
My dad, I sent this to Vic already, so she knows, but my dad listened to our episode 4. It's called Don't Look at Me, I Don't Know a Thing,
Yeah.
which is our episode on Job. And he said he loved it. He said it was his church that morning. And he says that we need to keep going. So that's wonderful. Okay. So, do you have any highs and tries that you would like to share with the audience for this week?
Um, a high, I guess. I'm alive. Oh, okay. So, and that's not a throwaway. Like I'm legit alive and I'm really happy about it.
Yay.
Um so today someone that I was in that organization slash well it's a cult with she's no longer in it, but she messaged me saying that she was going to be listening to my episode of the Our Journey podcast that I was a guest on, talking about my experience in this organization. And she was definitely one that warmed my heart, like while I was there. Like she was like a breath of fresh air. And she reached out to me today and I was just like, oh, I miss you and I love you. And thank you for not being mean to me when it was like
Yes.
a really, hard situation for all of us. And yeah, so it was really cool to be able to like, I don't know, talk to her person to person
Mm-hmm.
without the organization around us. It was just it was a real conversation. I feel like
Yeah.
it was very, very needed. So that's my high. My try is I'm tired. And I I retwisted my hair today because I have to go to a birthday party tomorrow. And I
I
was looking
see
like
that.
beautiful.
Ruth's looking
Yeah, not the
fresh.
retwist. The retwist. And so she crispy over here. But yeah,
Yes.
so I retwisted my hair and then I had to start on my sister in law's birthday gift. And so I'm painting it and it's taking a long time. And I'm tired. I've been doing that for way too long today.
Mm-hmm.
But it's turning out good. So yeah.
Okay, okay. I don't even know if I have any highs. What happened? Oh, because I feel like this is our second recording this week. I don't even know how we're releasing these, but I'm like, a high. Mm, I finally put up my Christmas tree. Well,
Yay.
I started it, and then I decided I had like this silver garland and silver ornaments, but the
Mhm.
ornaments are glass ornaments. And then, which I've always had, even when I had my son, but he's 3 now and a little bit more rambunctious. So I decided, do I really want to put the glass ones up there? So
Put the
then I
glass
had
ones
to
up on
change.
top and then put the plastic ones on the bottom.
It's true, but I went and bought all new plastic ornaments. They were really cheap, and I got new garland, so I got to have a new look for my tree this year. So before I used to have like silver, I had silver garland and everything. Now I have green, red, gold, and the garland has a little bit of silver in it and gold. But I will
Oh,
send
she
you a picture later.
fancy.
Yeah, I mean, not really. I could be fancier, but fancier requires deeper pockets.
That's
And
fair.
fancy trees are expensive.
That's fair.
Yes, so every year I get a little more Christmas
Mhm.
decorations because if you try to get all of your Christmas decorations for your whole entire house in 1 year of your life, you sh I assume that you're rich because
Oh, yeah.
the way that those prices are set up, the way that those Christmas trees I only have a 6-foot tree. Next year, I do wanna save up and get a taller one,
Mhm.
but trees are expensive. You can spend like 4 or $500 on an artificial tree. Now, it'll pay for itself over time,
For
but
sure.
that first initial buy, yeah,
Yeah, I
is
think we
kinda
got
kinda
ours for,
painful.
like I think we got ours for, like, 70, $80, and
Oh,
it's a
that's good.
six-footer
That's good.
from Walmart. Wally
Oh, yeah.
World for the
It
win,
was on
for
sale.
sure.
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
feel like I
so
paid like 100 for my 6 foot, but it was from Target, and, they go t put the tax on it. But maybe
Target
it wasn't.
is
I can't
like a
remember now.
bougie Walmart. Ain't
I bought it
nothing
last year
different
and
about Target.
yeah, I don't know. Now I can't remember how much it was, but it wasn't more than $100 because I know what my budget was like
Mhm.
when I bought it. But, like, my mom, she has a huge tree that she bought many, 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 many years ago, I think when I was a baby, so it's a few decades ago. And she still uses it, so it's paid for itself. Like, she thought it was only gonna last, like, 5 years or something, and she was like, "Oh, it'll
Mm.
pay for itself in 5 years." No, that thing is holding on. It
Holding
is
strong.
huge, like, you can't even find a tree like that anymore. It's, like, 7.5 feet, but it stands up higher off the ground, so it looks like it's 9 feet, and the base of it is huge. Like, I feel like these trees nowadays, they're, like, skinnier. They're, like,
Mhm.
kinda like a tree you would see outside or something. This
Yeah.
tree is, like it's wide. Yeah, the circumference on it is pretty large. But yeah, anyway, don't let me keep going on and on about Christmas decorations. My try, I don't know. My try is trying to stay motivated at work, but it's December. I'm never motivated at work in December because I'm like, look, catch me in January when we can
Right.
restart. I'm done. Anyway, today, oh, hold on, let me pray. I almost felt like I was about to do that. Holy Spirit, activate. Whoo, Lord. Okay. Whoo, dear Heavenly Father, I promise that I am reverent to you. I promise, Lord. Lord, we thank you as always. We always want to start with a point of thanks and thanksgiving and praise. Um, we ask that you guide our conversation tonight and that um, we will be given something that we can give to the people that's really good and of sustenance and that's really going to feed them. And we're going to tell them something they didn't know before. You know? Yeah. Yeah. That's what I want to say. So, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Yeah. Y'all go get used to my prayers. I don't have these like fancy schmancy prayers. I just talk to them, you know, like I know them because I do. All right. So, today, I keep trying to get to what we're talking about today. We're talking about the first book of Samuel, which I
Yes.
love. I love, love, love this book.
There's so
This is
much in
what
there.
yeah, it's a lot. And I like I love the books in the Bible that are the storytelling type of books.
Yeah,
And this book has a lot of story to it and a lot of action, some drama. This book we're gonna
for
get
real.
David introduced to us, and David is very dramatic. Very.
He
He should have. I
is.
think he's like a theater kid. He's really a theater kid.
I mean, he's a musician.
Yeah, like he's very. Yeah,
He's an
we'll get to it. He's
artistic.
very artistic.
He's
He's
very
very
artsy.
expressive.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like me and him would be friends. We would probably get on each
Same.
other's nerves though, but we would be friends. So as always, I got my little fun facts. So, just as in Judges, which was technically anonymous, but they thought it's Samuel, Samuel is also technically anonymous. They really don't They really don't know, which I find interesting because some people be like, I need to know who wrote it. So I don't really care who wrote it. It means the same to me. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, it still gives me the same lessons.
Mhm.
But the what I read said it's most likely a compilation of stories by Samuel, Nathan, and Gad, which I
Mm.
believe are all prophets. I know
Mhm.
Nathan is a prophet, Sam is a prophet. I can't remember the story with Gad in it, but if he's with those two, I'm gonna assume
Yeah, I
that
think he's a
he's
prophet too.
yeah, yeah. I just can't remember what story he came in. I remember Nathan because Nathan is the one that told David he was wrong for killing oh boy.
Yeah.
The theme of this book is how a godly monarchy is established. Because
Mhm.
as we saw in Judges, there was no king. They had they didn't have any kind of leadership really going on except for the random judges. So where this book, where what's the word? Not left off. Where it picks up. Where this book picks up is at the end of the time of the judges. Samuel technically is the last judge. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Oh,
like
and not
Samson, but
Samson?
yeah. Well, what did I wrote down something? Oh, when I wrote down, somebody said that Samuel was the final judge.
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I mean he because maybe this is why they're saying that because he was kind of the leader before the king was put into place. People look to Samuel for a lot of stuff, but
That is true. I wonder if there's a difference between a judge and a prophet because I don't know.
I don't know. This is what I think. What I think though, I think you can be a judge and a prophet,
Mhm.
or only a prophet, or only a judge. Just because, and
Right.
I say that just because Deborah was a prophet,
Mhm.
yet also a judge. But
It
the
doesn't
other
say that about
judges,
all of them.
yeah, the other judges weren't described as prophets. So
Right.
I'm not sure. That's a good question though.
Cuz
It's a
I
really good
cuz
question.
I always saw Samuel as a prophet. I never really saw him as a judge because
Yeah.
what he was like the stuff that he was prophesying didn't seem like he was prophesying the judgment of God, but rather the direction of God. Because when
Mhm.
Deborah prophesied, her prophecy was judgment.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And with Samuel, it was more of like, well, this is what God wants to do. Like it's almost like he went back to the general idea of like priesthood, where like he spoke to God for the people spoke to him
Right.
to God.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe he was.
I don't know either. He might have been. It could be based on like what you said on how he came more across like more
Hmm.
priestly. Maybe it's because he like grew up in the tabernacle. Basically, it
Maybe
could just be his demeanor, or I could be just totally wrong, or the person who wrote that down first could be totally wrong. Who
we
knows
all
who's
could be
right and
wrong.
who's
Yeah.
wrong in this world? Who really knows? Okay. So both of us have a lot of notes on how the beginning of the book starts. The beginning of the book starts, and I think I'm saying this right, before Samuel is even born. It tells
Hmm.
of the story of his parents. His mom's name is Hannah,
Hmm.
and his father's name is, I'm going to say Elkanah.
Yeah,
Elkanah.
that makes sense. Elkanah. That's how I
One of
read it.
those. One of those.
Elkanah. Elkanah.
And surprise, surprise, we have another situation of polygamy and of a husband loving one wife more than the other, and the wife that is getting loved is barren, and the wife that is getting snubbed has a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Giving me very much Jacob, Leah, and Rachel all over
All
again.
over again. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Elkanah has two wives, Hannah and Peninnah. I'm going to say Peninnah. Peninnah is like the Leah in this story. She has
Mhm.
the babies. She's the second wife, though. So he, this is what I think Elkanah did. Elkanah was married to Hannah. And when she could not have children, he brought on Peninnah so he could have some children. But he really loved Hannah. So he's like, I'm just going to get into second wife so my line can go on. But
Mhm.
I really love you. So
That makes
Peninnah,
sense.
yeah. So there was like some jealousy between the two
Panetta
wives
was rude.
because yeah, Peninnah was really rude. She taunted her about being barren, to the point where Hannah was very sad a lot all the time.
Yeah.
She wasn't eating. And just a quick like little, it's the same story, but so Elkanah is there's a part of the story where he's given the food or out to his family, and
Mhm.
he gives his Panana and her kids some food, but he gives Hannah a double portion. But Hannah is so sad, she doesn't even eat. She's not even eating. She's depressed.
Nope.
And he's like, don't you think? He's like, why are you so sad? Like, you have me though. Like, I'm worth
Right.
more than like
Oh
10
my
sons.
gosh. No,
Yeah,
who
he was a
said
little
that?
insensitive.
Who said that? Who
Yeah,
said
it
you
was
was worth more than 10 sons? Who said that?
that's what he thought. He thought his love would be enough for Hannah, which I mean, it's a nice thought. I think you know how sometimes men they say stuff that's insensitive, but they think that they're being nice. Like I think he was
Yeah.
trying to make her feel better. Like you don't need the sons, boo. You got me. But a better sentence would have been, "You have God, Hannah. Not what am
Mhm.
I going to do with you, Elkanah? Like you're just a
Right.
man."
Like what what am I gonna do with you?
Yeah. Like, who cares? I mean, I love you, but you're not gonna make me
What's love got
whole.
to do with it? I
You're
want children.
you're not gonna make me whole, and I really want kids. And this lady is popping kids out, you know, like
Right.
like hotcakes. So the main story of Hannah, which I love Hannah, I mean, the way that she prays, her story should teach us a lot about prayer.
Mhm.
Because the way she prays, I want to pray like that. I'm gonna try to start coming out on here and praying like Hannah, like just like from my deepest soul. So Hannah was going up to, I guess it was a tabernacle or the
Yeah. Cause
yeah.
they would all go together.
Hmm.
So they all went together to worship, and then this one time was this time that you're about to talk about.
Yeah, so she's going up there. She's so sad. She's bowing in worship. She's praying. She's like weeping through her prayer. She's so distraught that the priest, Eli, who's not a very good priest, we will get to him, he doesn't even have enough discernment to know what's really going on. He thinks that she's drunk. So she's like, "No, dude, I'm not drunk. I'm just so in distress." What did I write down? That she said, "I have been praying from the depth of my anguish and resentment."
Mm. Oof.
Mhm. 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 What I like about Hannah is, and I do this in my personal life, and I try to tell other people to do it too. You have to bring your problems to God. You
Right.
don't blame him for them. She could have easily blamed God and said, "God made me barren. Forget God. He's not for me." No. Mm-mm. She
Pulled a
went,
Sarah and everything, but nope, she
yeah.
did not.
She went with the honest heart, and she said, "God, I don't understand. I'm sad. I just, she would lay it all on the line." And then once Eli realizes that, you know, she's not a drunk, she tells Eli, or does she tell God? I don't know. Now I'm kind of confused. But she says basically like, if you give me a son, I will rededicate him back to you. So she's talking to God. And
Mhm.
Eli blesses the prayer. He's like, yes, you deserve it, girl. Go forth.
Right.
So She ends up conceiving. Yay! She ends
Mhm.
up conceiving Samuel, who
Ooh, ooh,
we
there's a
need.
part. Okay, hold on, hold on,
Mhm.
hold on. Oh my goodness, I think I highlighted it, but um, graduate petition went away in her face. They rose early in the morning. They went back to the house. Oh my gosh, there was a okay. It says, "And the Lord remembered her." And okay, so this in chapter 1, and this is after Eli says, "Go in peace, you'll have what you asked for," type deal, right?
Mhm.
And it says they rose early in the morning and they left. There's a translation that I believe I read. Um, it may have been in it may have been the Message, it may have been the Amplified. I don't remember. Um, but it said, and God started to work what he had promised her, or something along those lines, where it was
Mhm.
like her conceiving was because God started that work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that sounds like, duh, that's how she could see. But like the fact that the fact that it wasn't just she woke up the next morning pregnant. There was a process, and God worked that
Mm.
process until she conceived.
Yeah. I see.
So we don't
Mhm.
know how much time had passed between the time. Yeah, it just says, and in due time. Like we don't know how much time it was from the moment
Mhm.
that she prayed to the moment that she found out that she was pregnant.
Yeah.
That could have been just a small amount of time. That could have been within that year. We just know that when she did have the baby, they went back. We don't There's this span of time that's missing, and we don't know how
Mhm.
much time that is. And it's like the scriptures sometimes, because of how truncated the stories are, it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, she prayed and they left, they did the do, and she got pregnant that night. We don't know
Yeah,
that.
but we don't know that. Yeah.
We don't know
We
that.
have no
That very
idea.
well could have been the case. But to know that it says, and in due time, Hannah conceived and bore a son. There was some time that she had to wait even after she prayed.
Yeah. 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 And this is the thing, this is not even like her first prayer. Hannah has
Nah, she's
been
been praying.
praying. Like I'm trying to stop saying like she has been praying.
Mm-hmm.
She has It was not her first rodeo. She's
Nah.
been going, she's been weeping, she's been crying out. She really trusts God. That's what um stands out to me about her. Um After she conceived Samuel, Samuel's name means I requested him from the Lord. It literally means I asked for this guy.
Yeah.
I asked for him and God gave him. Um but I want to touch on the nature of Hannah's prayers. I wrote this down. Hannah's prayers were not like obligatory. Is that how you say that? Obligatory? Obligatory?
Obligatory.
Obligatory. They were not obligatory. They were not half hearted or empty. She prayed honestly and openly. She prayed as if her life depended on it. And she brought the good, the bad, and the painful all to God in an act of worship. I think it's just so beautiful.
Man.
Like prayer was Hannah's first resort, not her last. She was
That's
always
good.
praying about everything. And like, ugh, I said like again, but you see how there's never a part of the story where they talk about her retaliating against the other wife. She's just
Right.
praying. Now, like you said, do we know everything she did? We don't know. There could be a time that Hannah had a little slip up, a little something something. Who knows? But it's not recorded. Not like with Rachel and Leah, who we saw their back and forth. We saw
Mm-hmm.
their nonsense.
Yeah.
We saw that, and
Yeah.
whew.
And we saw Sarah and Hagar's nonsense. They
Yeah.
stayed at it.
Yeah, she didn't do any of that. She was relying solely on God. I really wonder, and we'll never know this, but I wonder how Hannah got to that type of relationship with God. I'm wondering, is it how she was raised? Because she's in the time of the judges, right? And
Yeah.
we know that people are living as they please, but she still has this tight. It seems as if she has this like tight, close relationship with God, and nothing is really making it waver.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if it was birthed out of desperation.
Yeah, maybe
Cuz
so.
there's just something about getting to getting to the point of desperation where there's no one and nothing else that could give me
Yeah.
something that'll fill the hole in my heart. Whatever it is, whether it be a relationship, a child, success, who knows what your hole is.
Mhm.
There's a level of desperation where it's like I really have nothing else to do. I have no one else to turn to about this. Her husband wasn't enough. Like
No.
being able to say, like having loved ones be like, but you know, you have all of these things, you have this, you have that, you do this, you go these places, and you're just like, but that's not that doesn't fulfill me. That doesn't sustain me.
Mhm.
That doesn't do what I need it to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, like Elkanah was, you know, just being nice or whatever, but Hannah was desperate at that point, and he wasn't enough to fill a hole that only God could fill. And also this level of desperation, like we don't see recorded any other point of her desperation in the temple or in the tabernacle. Like we see this one, and this is the one that Eli was like, lady, you're weird. um so it begs the question, like, does he recognize her? Is this something that she does on a regular basis? And I don't think her doing this in the tabernacle was often, because he would have recognized her. This would have been normal to
Mhm.
him. But he was like, sis, you intoxicated because you acting a little crazy. So for him to be put off by that, it's not something that she's gotten to that point before.
That's true. Yeah, she
So
probably was
this is
very
a
loud.
new point for her.
I was about to say though, wasn't my boy Eli a little blind? I can't remember now. He was really
Oh,
old.
he was going blind.
Yeah, he
But
was
it was
going.
like it was like after it was after Samuel was like born, and like
Oh, okay.
uh
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and was like living with him.
Yeah, yeah. I read a commentary, I guess when I was like actually reading that chapter,
Mhm.
um, that his discernment was just like off. Like he
Off.
was just going downhill as a priest in general. And like
Makes
he just
sense.
didn't even have the discernment to see what was really going on. Even and you know, so he
Yeah.
lost his spiritual eyes and then he started losing his physical eyes.
Mm.
But as far as Hannah, so Hannah conceived Samuel. Um and you know now she's promised to dedicate him back to the Lord, so
Mhm.
she got to do it. So she weans him off her boob and brings him back at the appropriate time. um I wonder how long it takes them to get weaned. Like how I wonder how long kids were breastfeeding in ancient times, because I feel like when she brought him he was like walking, and like he wasn't like a baby. He was,
Right.
you know,
Hmm.
I don't know. It's just a
Good
little
point.
side thought. But she brings him back, and Samuel is then he's like a Nazarite. He's born basically a Nazarite. He cannot cut his hair. He cannot be by the grapes. What else did I write down?
Pretty much
And
all
I
that
wrote,
stuff Samson couldn't do.
yeah, it's like Samson again. I read that Samson and Samuel are the only two that are born into being a Nazarite. Other people, you know, they take the vow
Become.
as adults. And I wrote down that being a Nazarite is a greater consecration than a Levite, actually.
Hmm.
It's like a higher oath
Huh.
because they have to like really. And I just where did I read that at? I may have read it on the Enduring Word. Maybe
Yeah.
I think
Um.
so.
So him being born a Nazarite, I had said this in an IGTV when I was doing IG Bible studies, and for him to be born a Nazarite, he was already dedicated to the Lord. So for her to dedicate him for the rest of his life was an even further amount of dedication. So
Yeah,
being a Nazarite was only for a certain amount of time. I think it was like 47 years or something like that. That might be wrong. Maybe just
yeah,
an
but it was
arbitrary
yeah,
number.
like you said, a certain amount
But
of
it
time.
was a specific amount of time. And then once you fulfilled your duty, you could go do whatever you wanted after that.
Mm-hmm.
But for Hannah to offer him as not just like a Nazarite, but to offer him solely to the Lord, having every single day of his life for the entirety of his life be dedicated to the Lord and the Lord's work, um, I feel like was only birthed out of that desperation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was super obedient.
Oh
She,
yeah.
because how many women and honestly, if the woman, if you had gone back, if she had gone back on her word, she probably would have been like cursed or something. So she knew what she had to do. But
Hmm.
there are people, and I don't know, I might be one of them that when I got my baby, I don't know if I would. I just don't know. You have to know to give up your baby to God, your kid who was in you for 9, 10 months,
That
and you
you have
see him
prayed for so
you that
long.
you prayed for. You have to understand and know that your baby belongs to God, not you.
Hmm.
A lesson I have to tell myself all the time, and that what He has for you after this is still good or greater than what you already have. Right? You just have to know that you have to trust God is for me, and if He gave me this baby and He knew I was sad, I was going to give it up. He's going to give me more, or if He doesn't give me more, He's still taking care of me. Like the trust
Yeah.
level is phenomenal.
It kind of reminds me of what Mary had to do with Jesus
What as
because
far as what with Mary?
so like no, Mary didn't necessarily pray for this child, but this was a child of her womb,
Oh
and
yeah, 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 yeah.
having to watch the promise of God die on a
Mm,
cross and not
mm,
know what happens next. And that's my baby. You gave me this,
yeah,
Lord.
yeah.
You gave me this, Lord, and now you're taking it from me.
Mm-hmm.
Now what? What do I do? And like, we're heading into Christmas, and we're always talking, you sing the song Mary, did you know? She did know, and it terrified
She
her the whole
did.
time.
She did
She
know.
knew
She did.
everything. Like,
She
and
did.
and it wasn't until Jesus was crucified that I feel like it actually like clicked for her, because you can know
Mhm.
that this is going to happen. I think she knew that Jesus had to die.
Yeah,
But to
she
see
did.
it, but
Yeah.
like to actually see it and be like, that's my baby, and I have to watch him. Like, he's not the
Mhm.
savior right now. He's my baby, and he's
Yeah.
hurting,
Yeah, and I can't
and
do
so
anything
like,
about it.
and I can't do anything about it. And this is supposed to be better for me. It's supposed
Mhm.
to be better that he does this. And so
Yeah.
Hannah is like, okay, like, this is supposed to be better that he's like not even living with me. Like, he's not here. I can't smell him when he wakes up in the morning. I can't put him to
Mhm.
bed at night. I can't
Yeah.
hold him when he's scared. I can't explain things to him that he doesn't understand. I can't be his mom. I just have to trust that I'm doing what God told me to do and what
Yeah.
I have agreed to,
Yeah.
and trust that my son will do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. That is
like,
such
am I
that is
ready
so
to do
true.
that?
I didn't even think about that with Mary, about how she always knew that her son would eventually be gone.
Like,
Or
imagine thinking that when your 12-year-old son goes missing from the caravan
yeah.
with the knowledge in your head that he's going to be taken at one point.
I don't even understand how she was. I mean, now we're on a tangent. I don't even understand how Mary was operating, knowing that her son was God. How do you discipline God when he starts? Does he get into trouble? Is Jesus ever get into trouble? He doesn't do anything wrong, I guess.
I mean, you saw how she was like, "Yo, you left and didn't tell nobody." And he was
Yeah,
like, "I was about my father's business. Who is my mother? Who is my father?"
you
And
can't.
she was just
Yeah,
like,
you can't discipline. I mean, I guess he doesn't really need discipline because he's Jesus. But it's like, how am I supposed to parent Jesus? How am I supposed to parent God? Clearly, I'm just here as a figurehead because I'm not doing anything. I'm just making sure you're eating. That's
"Listen,
all.
I'm here for semantics."
That's my job. I'm supposed to have you and feed you. That's it. Because you
And
about to
bathe
leave.
you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
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 Whew.
Speaking of Christmas, slight tangent. Did you have you seen the Chosen Christmas thing
I
yet?
haven't.
Me either. I don't.
So
Is it
I
on the
almost
app
don't
or
wanna
is it?
watch it because it's in theaters. I don't know if they released it on the app yet.
That's what I saw, but I don't want to
But
go
I
pay
don't know
for
if I
it.
wanna watch it because the woman that they have playing young Mary isn't the Mary that we know, but the Mary that we know that plays older Mary in The Chosen is a young woman who they make look old. So I don't understand why they have some random chick playing Mary
Oh, when they could just use Mary
when they could
without the
just
old
use
makeup.
Mary. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So
It's
mm,
probably something about contracts, girl.
probably,
Even the Christians got
probably
contracts
for
for the
sure.
movies.
So yeah, I
Somebody
don't know if I'm gonna
manager ain't do
watch
their
it.
job.
I don't know if I'm gonna watch it because I'm too attached to the Mary that we know in The Chosen.
That's
So
true. Yeah, they
she
need to
she just
hurry up with
embodies
season
it. I don't
3.
know. I can't trust that anybody else can play it the way she does. Like
Yeah,
she just has so many levels to Mary that makes Mary look like a human being for once. And
yeah,
so
that's very true. Yeah, I love how that show makes all of them look like human beings
yeah. Okay.
in general. But yeah, slight tangent. I just wanted to see if you had seen it yet because I really want to see it because I'm obsessed with that show.
Yes.
Audience, if you have not watched The Chosen, you need to watch it. Download the app today. They don't even have to pay me for this advertisement. I have been
For
telling
real.
everybody to watch it. I finally got
Yep.
my mom to watch 2 episodes. She said she liked it.
My mom had to put me on. I was like, ah.
Girl, it's so good. I watched the first and second season twice already. I'm
Oh.
waiting patiently for season 3, and this little Christmas special is just gonna have to hold me over.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't have any notes anymore, but I think we're pretty much done with Hannah because now
Yes. Now we're on
Samuel
to Eli's
is,
sons, I guess.
huh?
Did you want to touch on Eli's sons or save them for the end?
Um, it does. I don't know. Maybe we should save them for the end.
Okay.
Just know, audience, that after the things with Hannah, um, there is a certain family that is judged for the things that they're doing. So we'll explain that in the last segment of what they did. But just know that the time that it happened was kind of like after um, Samuel was dedicated to the tabernacle. So let me see. I actually have my Bible open now, so I'm just looking at the order of things.
Same.
After that, you got Samuel getting called by God. It's pretty important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at this point, I think God is done with Eli in general, and he's like, "Ooh, Samuel's here per my plan. Awesome! I'm just going to speak directly to Samuel. I'm bypassing Eli now. Bye, Eli." So God is calling. One day, they're sleeping there, or they're asleep wherever they sleep, and Samuel's hearing a voice calling his name, and he thinks that's Eli. So he keeps going to Eli. He's like, "Yes, yes, my lord." And he's like, "No, friend, I didn't call you. Go back and lay down." Then he calls him again. Samuel gets up. He's like, "Bro, you called me." He's like, "No, I didn't. Go back to sleep." Then I want to say it's the third time because I feel like it's always in threes. Um, Samuel hears his name again, and Eli figures out, hey, that's God talking to you. It's not me. I'm understanding now. He's like, when he calls you again, just say that you're ready and willing and you're here and see what he has to say. So that is the first time that Samuel heard from the Lord. It says in the Bible, it says, now Samuel did not yet know the Lord because the word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. So this whole time he's working the
Yeah.
tabernacle, and he's like, I think that's interesting. Is is it possible that even like, okay, think about this. Kids or people who go to church their whole life, they're in church, right? But the word of the Lord is not revealed to them till much later. They don't really get it till much later. They don't hear God for themselves till a lot later, even for Samuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. What else happened in Samuel? Maybe we should just talk about Eli and his sons real quick, because
I mean, because that kind of leads to Eli's downfall was his sons anyway.
yeah, we're just gonna put just know that these people are in the intercessory prayer section.
Yeah, because they
Okay,
need the Lord's.
just know that.
Um,
Yeah. Do you want to explain who they are?
okay, so Eli has two sons, Hophni and Phineas. Not Phineas and Ferb, but Hophni and Phineas. And they did not do anything great with their summer. So uh
They did.
they didn't. So they were some hungry girlies, and basically they were eating the offerings that were being offered to the Lord by people. So people would come and be
Hmm.
like, Lord, here's your offering type deal, right? And they would take it before the fat was even burnt off of it. Like they didn't waste
Yes.
no time. So
Yeah.
okay. So the priest and his family can eat the portion that's left from the offering. So this is
Hmm.
after the offering has already been given, already been burnt, and the fat has cooked off of it. So then they eat what's left, right? The Lord has his portion and then they eat. So it's not weird that they're eating it. The weird part is that they're eating all of it. They're literally stealing from God.
Yeah. They're not even like. I feel like at one point they weren't even putting it up to be burnt. They're just like taking it from people,
No, so like
and
people
they
were
were
just
also
offering
threatening
stuff,
people.
huh?
I said I think they were also threatening people too.
Oh yeah, cause okay, so one lady was like, "So can you just let the fat burn off first before you take it?" And he was like, "Nah, or the Lord will curse you," or something like that. It was something really intense. Like, no, I know what I'm doing. Let me do it, type stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they just over here getting fat and stuff off of God's food, and then Eli knew about it.
Yeah.
So my theory is that he also had a hand in it because he was fat as well. Um, I
Mm.
think he was also eating a little bit more than his fill. But that's just my theory. It doesn't say that, but he knew about it and he wasn't saying nothing about it. And people were like, your sons are out of control. And
Yeah.
Eli was like, I got it, whatever, whatever. So God was like, your sons are out of control. And Eli was like, I got it, whatever, whatever. So here comes a new battle against the
Mm.
Philistines, right?
Mm. Mm-mm.
Since Eli got it and whatever. Here's a battle against the Philistines. Long story short, they captured the Ark of the Covenant
Oh God.
because Hophni and Phineas were being stupid.
Yeah. Not doing their job.
So, yeah, it was their job. They had one job. They had one job and they failed. And not just failed, they big failed. They died, right? So then somebody is coming back. Is it Samuel that comes back to tell him?
To tell Eli that the
That
ark
his
has
sons are
been
dead.
captured.
Oh, that the
Oh,
ark's been kept. Is it Samuel?
that part
Somebody
I don't
comes
know.
to tell him. Oh no, it just says a man from Benjamin.
Yeah.
Um, so ran from the battle and came to Shiloh, like where Eli was, and he was like, the 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 Ark of the Covenant is gone, and your sons are dead.
They're dead.
And the moment that happened, that he said that the Ark of the Covenant was gone, Eli's fat behind fell backwards off his chair and broke his neck. It's not funny.
It's not funny, but I imagine it in my head. When I imagine it, I imagine him being like on a porch stoop, even though I know he wasn't. And I
Yeah.
imagine like an old man on a porch stoop, and I imagine him falling off and just cracking his neck, and people just looking like, "Oh my
Okay.
god!"
But like that
Yes,
escalated quickly.
yes.
Um,
But I think we should tell the audience that they died because God said they were going to die, based on all the stuff that they were doing.
yeah.
God, or is it God or an angel of the Lord? I can't remember now, but somehow, or is it Samuel that tells them? Somebody tells Eli, "Hey, your family is going to be judged and they're going to die. All of y'all, like the whole family line." Was it Samuel who told him? Because God told
I
him.
think it was Samuel because yeah, because it was in the same vision that night where God had spoke to Samuel and not Eli.
Oh, yeah,
It was
yeah,
that
and
same
Eli's
night.
like, "What is the message God told you?" Because Samuel
And
didn't even
Samuel
wanna
was like,
tell Eli. He didn't even wanna
"You
tell him
gonna
because
die.
he's like, "This message is real
It's spicy.
spicy. You sure you wanna know? Because it's about you, and it's not good. I'm trying to
Why
hold
is
it
it
back."
spicy?"
Yeah, so Samuel tells Eli before the warrior happens, like, "Hey, your kids are gonna die violently," and I think this curse extends through like their whole family line. So that is
Yeah.
why they end up going into battle and dying. Um, which I think is funny that the priests went into battle. Were they carrying the Ark of the Covenant or something? Is that why they were there? Is that why they were there?
Yeah, them to fight the Philistines.
Oh yeah, because this is what I forgot what video I was watching on YouTube about this, but they brought the Ark of the Covenant to try to see it, like, to make them win the war.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
so
a
they brought it to, like, manipulate
Yeah, to
God in
manipulate
their
God
favor.
into winning when that's just not how it works, you
It's
know?
not.
He has
But
to
Saul
tell
ended up
you.
trying to do the same thing, but not with the Ark of the Covenant later on. Like, this is something
Yeah.
that they continue to do. Like, what Jephthah did it, Abimelech did it to some degree.
Mhm.
It wasn't the Ark of the Covenant, but
Yeah,
it
but
was
it's
like they
something
tried
that
to
yeah.
manipulate God.
Yeah. Yeah. And
We all
and
know
I
that
can
doesn't end
see
well.
how they can fall into that, like, "Oh, well, last time it worked because we had the Ark of the Covenant." It's like people who have, like, their lucky socks. They're like,
Yeah.
"Well, when I got this job, I had on these socks, so Imma keep wearing these socks. So last time
Mhm.
we won a war, the Ark of the Covenant was there. We're gonna bring it back." No, what you don't realize is the last time y'all won, somebody was inquiring of God, what y'all should do, not just bringing the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant has no power without God. The Ark of the Covenant is just it's just
That's
a bunch of
literally
gold
like
stuff.
that's literally like us, like, going on a date and, like, deciding in ourselves that that's our man,
Ooh,
and
Lord.
then we ask God, "Is this our man?" And he says, "No." And you're like, "Lord, bless this relationship." Uh,
And his
eh,
answer is, "No.
no.
I'm not gonna bless it."
And that's what happened. They lost in a big way.
They lost in a big way because
Huge
did you already
way.
say that the Philistines took the Ark of the Covenant?
Yeah, because that's why Eli died, because he heard that.
Yes. Oh, yeah,
Um,
you did say that because that's when I read it the first time, I was shocked. I was like, "Oh," I was
for
like, "That's
one
not
thing,
good."
how did somebody unauthorized touch it? I guess you could touch the poles. Anybody could touch the poles. You just couldn't touch the ark itself.
That is a great question. I would say either they only touch the poles, but they don't know the rules. So how would they know? That would be a lucky guess. Or perhaps God's presence left the ark because he said, "I'm not fooling with y'all." He don't have to be in there. He's everywhere. He can remove himself from the ark of the covenant if he
That
wants.
is very true.
Because I
But
feel like the
when
ark of
the
the
ark
covenant.
was gone, it says that the glory left Israel.
Yeah, he
So
left everybody. "I'm out. I'm outie fi I'm out. I'm gone.
peace up,
Y'all
A
are
Town down.
y'all are all making me mad. I'm about to go for a second because he comes back, though. He comes back on the
I
Philistines."
hate this church.
he come because yeah, that is a great question. How were they able to touch it and like just
Like, they
or
transported it
maybe
over a few places. Like, they had it in one place, and then they were all judged because they had it in that place, and they
yeah,
tried to put it in somebody else's place, and they were like, "No, don't do that. We see what is happening to you." And they snuck it in there, started happening to
yeah,
them. And then
yeah,
another place, I think it was 3 different places they tried to move this ark
yeah, and then they
of the
sent it right
covenant.
back. They said goodbye. This is not
Look,
good.
God sent rats,
Mhm.
boils,
Mhm.
and tumors.
Yeah, I saw about to say, I thought I saw something about tumors. I was like, he gave him cancer.
He gave them cancer.
Look, you can't be messing with God. Look, look, look.
Listen,
So
listen.
that's what I was saying. Did his presence return, or may God can do whatever he wants from anywhere. He don't need the tabernacle to operate.
So I think he was still on the ark
Hmm.
because of what happened to Dagon.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
so
let's talk about that. We
so they
cannot not talk
they
about
bring
that.
the ark of the covenant back, right? And they put it next to their god Dagon.
Hmm.
The next morning they came back,
Oh my goodness.
and Dagon had fallen face first onto the ground as if it was bowing to the ark of the covenant.
Yep.
And the head of Dagon and both of his hands were cut off.
Yes.
Now, okay, so we all, this whole time we're seeing the hand of God doing all of these things, invoking judgment on whom he sees judgment needs to be invoked on.
Hmm.
And God cut the hands off of somebody else's God. Like, you
Yeah.
tried it.
I hate to call because the only word I can think of is
Literally right
petty.
after it says the hand of the Lord was heavy against the people of
Oh,
Ashdod.
it was super heavy. Yeah. I don't know if the word that is that God is petty, but he's really funny because that is funny. Like,
Well, God is a jealous God, but he straight up was like, try
you
me.
are gonna make the god. I'm sure the idol was made of something hard, stone or iron, or so it's not something that's easily broken or formed into what I need to be formed into. And
Right.
God literally said, "Oh, y'all playing? Y'all gonna put me next to this guy? I know this guy already. No, he's nothing like me. I'm gonna actually devour him now.
Yeah.
I'm
You
gonna put
tried
him.
it.
I'm gonna put him in the place where this is how he is. He might not have told y'all, but he bows to me just like y'all need to be bowing to me.
And
Yeah.
it was in the Philistines' country for seven
Hmm.
months.
Wow. So
They
he
only
was just
lasted
wreaking
7 months.
havoc on them for 7 months.
7 months they had tumors and rats and
Oh my lord.
whole of that stuff for seven
Yeah.
months.
It took them 7 months to learn their lesson and send the Ark of the Covenant back to Israel, but they didn't send it in a normal way. They sent it back with some gold,
Some gold mice and
some
gold
gold.
tumors.
Yes. So that I guess to like, what's the word? Cleanse their sin or to like say I'm sorry or
So okay, so they said, um, okay, so the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners and said, "What shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Tell us with what we shall send it to its place. So like, get away from me. Just tell me how I'll do it." Um, and then the priest said, "If you send away the ark of the God of Israel, do not send it empty, but by all means return him a guilt offering. Then you will be
mm,
healed, and it will be known to you why his hand does not turn away from you." And they said, "What is this guilt offering that we shall return to him?" And then they answered, 5 golden tumors and 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines, for the same plague that was on all of you and your lords.
mm.
Yeah. So it was
Wow.
for every Philistine leader.
Do you think that caused them to believe in God afterwards, or do you think they were still worshiping their God who was basically like shown to not be a God at all?
Um, I think they still went back to doing what they were doing
People just dumb, man. There's
because
no way I could
of
have saw that
how
and not known. Like,
well, okay. So they had a knowledge of God. So like
yeah, they knew he
so
was
I just
real.
think it just continued their knowledge. Like, but that's not my God. He's there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, they
their
believe
God
he's
though.
real.
Yeah, it's like that's the God of Israel. That's not the God of the Philistines because Goliath is like who is this,
Yeah.
whatever. And so like he's like taunting our God, God of Israel, right? So for him
Hmm.
to do that, they couldn't have gone back
Yeah,
to
you are very right.
um
But yeah, I'm trying to think what else we are going to touch on. There's a lot of stuff in Samuel. Cuz after that, um after they get the Ark of the Covenant back and they kind of have like this victory
oh,
dance or whatever. What happened?
it says that Samuel judged Israel
Oh, where
all
does
the
it
days
say
of his
that?
life.
Aha. So I was not wrong.
You were
I
not
still don't know
wrong.
where I
I
got
was
it from.
wrong.
Hey, I get it from somewhere. There's just notes all over the place in the Bible, in my notepad.
Right.
um, but yeah, so after that, Israel demands a king. I guess they realize that you know we just cannot get it together. We need a king. Everybody else got a king. We need a king too. And Samuel actually told them that this is a bad idea.
It's such a bad idea.
He's like, dude, y'all don't need a king. You just need to love God. But you
Right.
can't seem to do that. And he tells them, like, and I have a note in my Bible that I wrote over a year ago that says, God almost seems sad here by saying Israel constantly abandons him. I don't know if you
Yeah.
found that. But it was true. He's like, look, you know what, Samuel? They don't want me. It's fine. I want them, but they don't want me. Give them this king that they want. Another example of
Oof.
not saying that wanting a king is just super sinful because I don't know how, if it's that deep, but it's giving me that God gives you over to your sin when you just don't learn your lesson. When He's just like,
Mhm.
you keep asking for that. Sure, go ahead, do your thing. You'll be back, or
Yeah.
hopefully you'll learn your lesson. Um,
Yeah.
did they learn their
I'm just
lesson
thinking
with
of all
this?
the times that I've done that.
Yeah.
Like legitimately. I've wanted other things more than God. I'm like, can you just give me that thing? Like marriage. I idolized marriage for
Hmm.
my entire singleness.
Yeah, it's a big idol for a lot of us because it's so much pressure to have it. I feel like um I've made an idol out of it before too, where I was just wanting it so bad, but it wasn't because I wanted it. It was
Mhm.
more so I
Cuz
could feel
everybody
like
else
I
had
had,
it.
yeah, or I could feel like I had this status, like
Mhm.
you know how all these girls are like, look at their Instagram bio, wife, mother, and you're like, oh, I can't put that in my Instagram bio. Like I'm not a wife and don't look like I'm gonna be a wife anytime soon. So you have to just learn how to deal with it, but it can definitely turn to an idol. I have a friend who is most definitely an idol in her life. So a
Yeah.
lot of women
And
can
it's like
can relate on that.
they legit were like, I want a king like everybody else. Why are we
Yeah.
like
And you're
why
supposed to be
I
set
just want to be
apart.
normal. I just want to have a king like everybody else. And that's
Mhm.
how I viewed marriage. I was like, well, everybody else is getting married. Why not me? Why can't I get
Mhm.
married right now? Like, do you not love me, God? Like that's all I'm asking
Mhm.
for is this to be married and da 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 da. Da. And it's like,
Yeah.
man, like to get to the point where I wanted to be married more than I wanted to be married to God. Um it's appalling. Like it's crazy to think
Yeah.
about. And
Yeah.
this I highlighted this because I was like, wow, this is literally how I was. Oh my goodness, in my singleness. But when basically Samuel is like praying to God after Samuel tells him like, bro, you gonna cry out to God about your king because your king is gonna suck and he's not gonna listen to you because this is what you asked for.
Mm.
Um, he said so. Um, basically the people were like, nah, we still want a king, and they said no, but like we still want a king, but there shall be a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles.
Yeah.
What has
Yeah.
God been doing this whole time?
I was just about to say that God was already doing that, y'all. He was
Literally,
already going out before y'all and fighting y'all's battles
he was
already.
judging y'all left and right. What you mean?
Yeah. They wanted, and I was just about to say this, but I caught myself. I was about to say they wanted someone they could see, but not that you could see God, but y'all saw, and well, maybe this generation didn't see enough. But I'm gonna say y'all,
Maybe.
maybe that's what it is. But even before, when they saw stuff, they still were crying and
Yeah.
grumbling, and that's why I think God showing Himself doesn't necessarily help things. But
Yeah.
yeah, maybe it was like it's that need to want to be like everybody else, which is could be inherently sinful. But yeah, but yeah, I was thinking the exact thing you said. God was already doing all of that,
Yeah,
and you
man.
basically rejected Him for a man who he can't do all that stuff.
At all.
Like,
He's like borderline a coward. Not, I mean, the guy that they got, he was like strong and valiant to a point, and then his jealousy messed him up.
yeah, let's get into
He's doing
him
too much.
because
So
uh
Saul
let's
got
get to Saul.
issues.
Saul is who is picked to be the king. I forgot what happens. Samuel is talking to God, and God's like, "This is gonna be who the king is. You gonna
Hmm.
meet him, doing this and that. He gonna stand a head taller than everybody else. Saul was really tall. What else did
And
he tell
handsome
him?
apparently.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. And then I forgot how they meet, but he meets Samuel, and Samuel's like, "You go be the king." Saul doesn't even tell anybody. I think he sees like his uncle on the way home. His uncle's like, "How did everything go?" He's like, "Oh, it's fine. Nothing. No mention of him being the
Being
king one
anointed.
day."
Yeah.
Yeah. So Saul becomes the king. Long story short, at first he's a okay king. Um he leads them into battle, I think, maybe once or twice or three
Mm.
times. People like him for the most part. But something happens where he all of a sudden is not his failure. Oh, and then quick note, once Saul is appointed as king, Samuel's like, "All right, y'all, deuces. Don't check for me. I don't make the rules anymore. I'm here. I'm out here, but don't ask me for nothing because you got Saul now." So Saul was doing his thing. And then and he became king when he was about 30 years old. I feel like there's a thing about 30 years old that happens a lot in the Bible. But something happened. What happened? I think they were
So I
fighting the
think they're about to
Philistines
fight the
again.
Philistines again.
Yeah, they were fighting the Philistines again, and they were
And
oh yeah, that's what happened. He didn't ask for God's help, right?
so,
He
okay,
doesn't
he
inquire of
did, but he
God.
did it the wrong way. So he was supposed to have Samuel come and offer the sacrifice and pray and all the kind of stuff to lead them into battle. Well, Samuel tarried a while, and he took a long time, or he
Yeah, I
took
feel like he refused to
so
come. He was like, "I ain't going."
so Saul told Samuel that you delayed the appointed time, like you missed the time that you were supposed to be here. But I don't remember Samuel ever telling him that I'm going to be here at this time. Like,
Mhm.
Saul was just like, you took too long,
Yeah,
but you could have just waited until he showed up.
yeah.
So um according to Saul, uh oh, I take it back. He waited 7 days, the time appointed by Samuel, but Samuel did not come to Gilgal. and the people were scattering from him. So Saul said, "Bring the burnt offering here to me and the peace offerings." And he offered up the burnt offering. As soon as he had finished the offering and finished offering the burnt offering, behold, Samuel came.
And Samuel's like, "What are you doing?
You couldn't
That
have
is not
waited
how you
like
do it."
you couldn't have waited like 10 minutes. Like I was literally up the street, my guy.
And you're not the one that's supposed to be doing this. Like, why do you think you making the offering is gonna help what we got going on? That's not how it works. And then
Stupid, guys. Is
it's
this camera on me? That's stupid.
no,
Use your common sense.
please. You please use it. His son Jonathan had a lot more sense than him. I
Yeah.
love Jonathan. Even yeah, I can't get too much into
Jonathan's the real, he's the OG. Like he's the GOAT for
Jonathan.
real. Like
It,
Jonathan really.
yes, in this same kind of story, I'm not gonna go too much into it because we're already past an hour and we haven't talked about everything. But Jonathan, um, he in that same kind of battle series, he has a victory over the Philistines. So I think
Yeah.
it's interesting to show like this contrast between Saul's character and his son. But I
Yeah.
love Jonathan. Jonathan and his little bromance with David is just
It's adorable.
so cute.
They're
I think
besties.
I think Jonathan must be older than David though, because you see how he's already out to battle. Not that he's like an older man, but okay, because he's already out to battle, doing stuff. Has this? He's fighting the Philistines. He knows that God is going to deliver them over to him or whatever. But then we don't get till much later where David is anointed and David's like a young shepherd boy who's not even fit for battle at all.
Right.
So they must have a little bit of a gap in their age. And I just thought about that because in this whole time I always thought that they were
The
besties, but
same.
they were like they grew up together kind of just
That's what I thought
because.
too. But yeah, no,
But
I
they
think
have to be Jonathan has to be a little older just based on
yeah.
what I'm thinking about. Like like Jonathan has his victory against the Philistines in like chapter 14, and we don't even hear David's name until chapter 16, and he's like a kid.
Yeah.
And this is before Goliath. This is just when Samuel is about to anoint the next king. And yeah, we could
Yeah.
talk about that.
And then Saul was mad and was like, "Nobody eat anything this day." And then Jonathan was like, "Ooh, honey."
Jonathan was like, "I'm eating. I don't know who made that rule. Oh, Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't know about the rule before when you made it.
Right, my bad, bro. Seemed
But
a little
remember the
weird.
rule was bad anyway because when he finally allowed them to eat, they were so hungry. Is this the same story where they were so hungry that they ended up eating the meat with the blood still in it?
I
Is that
think so.
is that the right story? I think so. Um, yeah. So because the fast that he was making them do, I forgot where I read it or what I was watching, but it was like almost like everything that Saul was doing, he wasn't consulting God. Like, who asked you to do the fast? Who told you to do the fast? Who told you that? I don't know if Samuel. I don't think Samuel told him. It was just like a random whim um, that he made. Let me see.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely wasn't
Yeah, like
it was
even
mad random.
in my Bible, the portion it says Saul's rash oath, which is like a lot of times I feel like people make oaths to God that He didn't ask you for.
At
He didn't tell
all.
you to do that. Like he didn't say to do that. But I think Saul was just so um it's weird because it seemed like he kept trying to prove himself. Like I need to do this. I need to win the like he kept trying to show how he could do things in his own strength when God didn't pick you. I don't think God picked you because of what you could do by yourself. I don't know.
Yeah, God never picks you because of that.
Like you don't need to be you don't have to prove yourself and do all these things when you've been appointed by God, my dude, my guy. Like you're giving me you're trying way too hard. That's what I think about Saul. He's always trying way too hard. He's insecure. He's jealous. Um, yeah, that's basically about Saul. Saul is basically insecure, jealous. As the story goes on, David enters the scene. It gets worse for him once he meets David, and he kind of realizes that David is going to be his replacement.
So what I didn't realize and what I don't feel like people put in context, like in like chronological context, is that David was playing the harp for Saul before Goliath.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
already in there.
so I've always thought that it was like, oh, because he defeated Goliath, that was when Saul was like, ooh, he should be in my court or whatever. No, that was after
Mm,
he defeated Goliath was when Saul wanted to kill him
yeah,
because
yeah.
all
I
the
think
ladies
yeah.
was like, uh Saul slay one David slay 10,000, Saul 1,000, you know?
What a great song.
What a great song.
Yeah, but he was already in the court. But let's talk about when he was in the
David,
court. I just want to touch on
David.
this because I always it's always something that gives me a question, and I don't know if I have my answer all the way yet.
Hmm.
So when David was in Saul's court and he was playing the harp, it says, "Now the spirit of the Lord had left Saul, and an evil spirit sent by the Lord began to torment him." The part that always gives me pause is the evil spirit sent from the Lord. And I never knew that God would send an evil spirit on someone. Isn't that kind of. Let me look at all the translations that I have in my phone. But
What verse is
I
that?
think that's like that is chapter 16 verse 14.
Bro, God said I
David and Saul.
regret making Saul king. God was not happy with him at all.
Yeah, so it's like Saul was a crazy person, but when he started trying to kill David, it's because he was literally like possessed by an evil spirit. It wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like he was being
Mhm.
himself, but he was also possessed by an evil spirit, which I just don't know what to do with that. I just have to keep praying about it and
Yeah.
be like, what do you mean God sent an evil spirit? I thought evil only comes from evil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really have anything for that necessarily.
I don't think that you should because I think that it's like that is pretty it's just something to wrestle with. And it could have a different context, it could have a different word. I may need to break out the concordance on that
Yeah,
and see
cuz
what the original Hebrew is.
cuz I'm like if the Lord leaves you, then anything could get in you cuz
Of
God's
course,
gone.
of
But
course, but it
God
says that it was
sending
sent.
it,
Yeah, that's different.
it is
That's
different.
different. That's
Yeah, he
different.
hasn't done that yet. I
Yes,
don't remember him doing that yet. So,
yes.
I don't
Every
know.
translation that I have in my phone, I have CSB in my phone, which I normally read. I have ESV, Amplified, NIV, KJV, NLT, Message, New King. There's more, but these are the ones I have. All of them say that the spirit was from the Lord. The harmful, it says an evil spirit. One says a harmful spirit. Um, NLT says a tormenting spirit that filled him with depression and fear. What does Message say? Because Message, I don't know where they get some of their words in the Message Bible. I'm like, what? Um, it says a black mood, but everything still says sent by God.
Okay, so this is what Enduring Word Commentary says, it's funny because
Okay.
it actually asked the exact question that you asked. It said, if God is all good, why did he send a distressing spirit upon Saul? There are two senses in which God may send something. He may send something in an active sense, or he may send something in a passive sense. This is kind of
Okay.
what I was thinking. Actively, God never initiates or performs evil. He is the Father of light, with whom there is no variation or shadow of turning. Passively, God may withdraw the hand of his protection and therefore allow evil to come without being the source of the evil itself.
Okay. Okay. That that
So
yeah.
Satan was more than ready to send a distressing spirit to fill the void, like I was saying. So, like,
Mm.
um,
Why they
because it
couldn't
does
just
say
say
that
that
God
though?
left him first,
Yeah.
because it was because God left him. So if God had never left him, if the spirit of God had never left him, then the distressing spirit could have never entered him. So by way of proxy, or by way of effect of God's leaving, he sent,
Yeah.
passively sent, like
Hmm.
inadvertently sent,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the
because he
opposite.
was
Yeah.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Good deep dive. I hope somebody learned
Mhm.
something today.
Someone said perhaps this was to judge Saul's past wickedness and rebellion against the Holy Spirit's guidance. This may be an example of God giving Saul over to his sin.
That yeah, that makes more sense. See,
It
this
says
is
Saul
why you gotta
clearly,
dig deeper.
yeah. So it says Saul clearly had the Spirit of the Lord upon him at one time, um as he was proud and rebellious against God. Saul resisted the Holy Spirit. He told the Holy Spirit no and go away so many times that God finally gave Saul what he wanted. But Saul never realized the price to pay when the Spirit of the Lord departed from him. Saul thought he would be freer to do his thing without the Spirit of the Lord bugging him. He didn't realize he would
Mm.
be in even more bondage to a distressing spirit that troubled him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That even makes more sense to me even now with the New Living Translation because it said that he had a spirit of depression and fear. And I do
Mhm.
feel like when say you're far from God or you feel like you don't feel his presence, that's when a lot of those spirits or that
Yeah,
those feelings creep in.
when I
So
was reading like his outbursts and things like that, I was like, this looks a lot like mania. It
yeah,
looks
so it could
a
be that.
lot
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like bipolarism.
Yeah, because the
Um
way that when he would go
he
back and
just
forth
went
with
from one,
David,
yeah.
I'm
And they
like,
be extremes. Like he was chilling for a second and then like out of nowhere decided to throw something at, like it was random.
yeah, yeah, I definitely agree that he probably had a little bit of bipolar, and then David, I don't think he had any mental anything, but he was very emotional,
He was.
as you can
Okay, and I
per
do
the
want to say
Psalms.
this, that if you are dealing with a mental illness, we are not saying that God has cursed you or left you.
Oh
We're
yeah,
not saying
no,
that.
I don't want to say that. Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah.
say that.
Mental illness
I,
is a thing. I have dealt with
yeah,
it. I have
I
dealt
was
with
about to
depression
say,
and anxiety.
yeah,
God did not leave me in those situations. God was always there because we have Jesus now. So don't take this as us trying to tell you that you messed up so God gave you depression or God gave you anxiety,
no,
because that's
no,
the farthest from the truth. And I
yeah,
wanted to, nip in the bud anything that the enemy is trying to tell you right now. That is not true. And in this
hmm,
case, Saul rejected God. God did not just leave Saul.
I will say this though, because I don't want to say, you because you're depressed, God is not with you. Because, like Vic said, we've both dealt with both of those things. But I will say this: my depression when I did not have God, way worse
Oh yeah.
than
Hmm.
when God is involved. When God is helping me through it and He's walking with me through it, and I'm still actively seeking, because you can still have mental health stuff going on. while you're seeking the
Mhm.
Lord. That spiritual warfare is like that could be when you're dealing with it the most.
Mhm.
Especially you start losing friends because you get a relationship with God now. Like you could just feel like what's going on. But my anxiety and everything, or I watch people who actively reject God and I watch them literally losing their minds. There's something to it. There is something to how your mental health is with God and without. I
Yeah.
will say that. I'm not saying that God can't be, if you're an active believer and you're having these feelings and God is with you, um yeah, that's, you need him to get through that type of stuff. But
Yeah.
if you
Because God does not
think,
give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind.
yeah, but trust me, and you and audience members, y'all know somebody too that actively rejects God, that thinks they have it all together, but they have a mental breakdown every other week. Uh, they have no, just saying, it it's something to it. Um, yeah, but what
But
time
yeah,
is it?
I
Okay,
just wanted to be
well,
sensitive to that.
no, we
Um,
should. We should. I'm glad you said that because I didn't want to come off insensitive in any kind of way. Because that is how spiritual abuse happens when people
mhm,
say these things you're going through are your fault, and it's because you're not prioritizing God in this way. And it gets very hurtful, and it's not getting to the actual point of what is going on with you. But
mhm.
I will say, based on personal experience, battling your mind is way better when you're talking to God about it all the time. Doesn't make it all the way go
Yes.
away, necessarily, but I think it'll go away eventually though. God has delivered me from a lot of depression and anxiety. Does it creep back in sometimes? Yes, because I think it's just the way my brain is programmed a little bit, but way better. Your girl used to be going off the deep end, okay? All right. I don't know what else we're gonna talk about because we're like a hour and
Yeah,
almost hour
I
and a
was
half in.
just I was just scrolling through just to see if we got everything.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, there's more in Samuel. There's, David and Goliath. Y'all know about David and Goliath. It's a little more gory than your childhood Sunday school class.
yeah,
He
the
had to
same
cut his
veggie
head off.
tales.
They didn't tell us that part that he cut his head off. That this is how I see it now. That he slings the stone,
Mhm,
it sinks into his head, not just like
mhm,
knocks him. It sinks into his head, which is pretty interesting. That was a lot of force.
mhm.
And he falls. I always thought the stone is what killed him. It's really not I mean, it knocked him out, but but David cut his head off. That's what really killed him
Yeah.
right there. And then he brings the head to the palace or wherever.
Mhm. I'm like, who helped
That
him drag this head? Like, this is a giant's head. Who helped him drag this head? Dude's like 13.
yeah, it's really a gory story, but I'm glad they don't tell it like that to children, I guess. I feel like I should have at least known that by, the teenage ministry. Like,
Yeah.
the teens need to know everything,
Yes.
real deal
Mhm,
spiel. Um, what else? After that, Saul starts trying to kill David. As we know, we kind of talked about that a little bit. So basically, after that, in Samuel is a back and forth of wars and Saul trying to kill David, David being able to kill Saul, but not killing Saul because he's more noble than him. And
mhm.
again, like Vic said, Saul being kind of bipolar. And once he realizes David isn't trying to kill him back, he's like, oh, I've sinned. You're better than me. My bad, bro. But I'm going to try to kill you in the next chapter. Don't worry about it.
Basically.
Yes, 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 yes. So yeah, it's basically like Saul being super paranoid because of this crazy spirit. And the only story I have, probably really randomly, really quickly, is how David has a little bit of an anger issue. Did you pick up on that? So
Yeah.
this is when I noticed his anger issue a little bit because,
David
and
has
this is
a
why I say
passion issue.
he's
He's
so
passionate about
dramatic.
everything.
but he's so passionate he will kill you. So
Oh, yeah.
remember, we got David, Nabal, and Abigail.
Mhm.
Oh Lord. So this is a time. This could be my little intercessory prayer because Nabal was a fool, and his name meant
Completely.
a fool. So David is on the run from Saul, but has accumulated like 400 or 600 soldiers that are following him. Just, you're trying to hide in the wilderness or in the caves, but you
Like,
got
that's
like
not
400 people.
inconspicuous, bro. Like, you just walking
Yeah,
around with
and they're
600
like
people?
fighting wars. They're still fighting against the Philistines. They're still protecting people. So I don't know. So they were stationed somewhere, and they were protecting my guy Nabal's shepherds. Because David was a shepherd. He's like, I have a heart for shepherds.
Mhm.
I'm gonna protect the shepherds. And he's thinking, well, if I do a good deed, well, later he's like, oh, y'all belong to that really rich guy. We're hungry. Um, I protected you, so he should feed me. No. Nabal says, who are you? I don't care. Absolutely not. When David hears this, David rallies up to 400 people. And he says, by the morning, none of his young men at his establishment, we're gonna kill them all. None of them are gonna be living. He doesn't promise he's gonna kill Nabal. He's just like, I'm about to hit him where it hurts. He's not gonna have any workers tomorrow. I'm
Until you
killing
do
him.
right by me,
I'm killing.
everything you touch will
And
crumble.
when I reread, I think I actually read that today. Actually, yeah, I think it was in our reading from maybe like a day ago or something like
Mhm.
that. Um, but I thought that David's response was a little rash. That God didn't tell you to do that. He didn't consult with, again. He did not consult with God. I don't think God, because God would have said, "Sir, what did they do to you? They did right by you. It's this guy, and you're gonna not kill him. You're trying to kill his servants." So anyway, so he rallies the people up. Luckily, Abigail, who is Nabal's wife, she runs out and she's like, "My lord, please stop. I got the food for you." She had 600 loaves of bread. She got the food. She's like, don't worry about it. My husband, he's stupid. His name means stupid. Just, I don't even know how I got stuck with this man. Just please don't kill all these kids, basically, these shepherds. They didn't ask for that. So after she does that, he realizes, dang, God sent her out here to tell me that my revenge is not better than God's revenge. Like I don't have to avenge myself. God is going to avenge
Mhm.
me, which he does. So once he realized that, I feel like he kind of like repents a little bit, like, dang, I'm super wrong. Thank you for the vittles. I'm out. I'm about to go back to where I was.
Yeah.
Um, so Abigail, she knows, I want to say her husband was drunk that night. So she was like, I'm not going to tell him yet. I'm not going to tell him. So she tells him in the morning, and he gets so mad. He basically has a heart attack. It says that his heart died within him and then he became a stone.
Yeah,
And
it sounds like
then
a heart attack.
it sounds like a heart attack. What did it say? It says, dang it. Where was it? I don't know, but it basically he had basically had a heart attack. His heart turned to stone. He became a stone, and there you are.
It's about right.
Oh no, this is what I was trying to get to. It said his heart died and he became a stone. About 10 days later, the Lord struck him dead. So he didn't die as soon as he turned to stone. He was like a stone for 10 days. So he basically, when I read that, I think he had a heart attack or a stroke, something that made him like paralyzed,
Mm.
something that paralyzed him. And then God was like, okay, that's enough. You're dead now.
No, okay, that's enough. You're done now.
That's enough. So again, this is a perfect example of letting
I'ma
God
let you
handle
go.
the people that do you wrong. That, it's been a great lesson for me over the past years because without Christ, I'm a very petty and vengeful person. So knowing that God got you, it really is true. I have seen it in my own life. Mm, do not, do not come for me because I will send God for you. Okay. That's all I will say. But yeah, that was. Oh, quick other side note about before we end about David, Abigail, and Nabal. So after he dies, guess what?
David takes Abigail.
David goes back and he said, Abigail, I see you don't have a husband no more. Oh,
Oh,
what happened? I see you're not married. You should come marry me. Even though I already have a wife. Another wife, a lady.
Michael.
This is the thing. Yeah, he had married Michael, but when he left, um, Michael was given to somebody else. So then he
Oh
married
yeah,
this other lady named
because Michael
Ahinoam.
was Saul's daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. So Saul was like, oh no, you can't be married to him no more. And
That
he
whole
helped him escape.
thing, that whole thing, the fact that Saul was like, I'm gonna give you my first daughter
Mhm.
because she's gonna like, she's basically gonna torment you and like you're gonna just want to die and then like I'm gonna kill you. And
Mhm.
then and then I guess it didn't work out with the first one. He was like, you know what? He can go ahead and marry Michael because Michael's gonna be his downfall, and she's gonna lead me right to him, and she's gonna torment him, and she's gonna nag him. She's gonna do all these things. I'm like, dang, you think horribly of your daughters.
And he thought he didn't even think that Michael was going to have to do all that because he said if you want to marry Michael, you have to go get like 1 billion Philistine foreskins in battle. And he was like, oh, he's going to for sure die in battle because he's not going to get these foreskins.
He brought
Baby,
them foreskins
David brought
back,
them
bro.
foreskins in on with a sack on his back and threw them down, bloody foreskins and all. They still had the blood on them because the Lord was with him. Okay. But yeah,
Like,
and he married this.
imagine you're
Yeah,
sitting in a room and the doors swing open
I know it stunk too.
and this dude with a Santa satchel
Mhm.
slung over his shoulder,
Mhm.
red because of blood, not because he's jolly,
Mhm.
to
Of
bring you
skin.
foreskins.
I was about to say another word, but this is a Christian podcast. I was about to but yeah, of foreskins. We're gonna say the real word.
Yeah.
That I know it was I don't I just can't even imagine the scene. First of all, I can't even imagine him killing all the people and then like, okay, let's go in and get these
Scrape,
foreskins. Let's go ahead and cut
scrape.
this off. Like, are they doing it like right or they just like hacking
I
that
mean,
thing
if they're
right on
already
off?
dead, why
Just
care?
because I'm not going through the trouble of a slice and stuff. I'm about to just hack the whole thing off and bring it. But I'm not sure. It's the foreskin on there. Come on, let's go.
No, no, no. And okay, okay, okay. That makes David's clap back at Goliath even more of a like because he was like, "You uncircumcised Philistine."
And I'm about to take that foreskin back. You probably bring yours too.
Scrape,
Hiya.
scrape.
Scrape it down. A scalping of the.
Ooh, different head. Um.
Yes, yes, yes,
So,
yes. That's
oh my gosh, like that, like David is crazy, and
hmm
he's the
yeah,
one that scriptures say had the heart of God.
because he did. He
He
did. That's
did.
why I feel like
He
we would
really
really be
did.
good friends because no matter what, though, this is why they say he has the heart of God because his heart posture was always a posture of worship all the time, no matter what he was going through.
Yeah.
In this plan we're reading, they sprinkled a lot of the Psalms that David wrote
Mhm.
during this time or about this time of his life. And now those Psalms make so much more sense to me about him talking about his enemies, their chase. He was like really talking about it.
Yeah.
But um yeah, like he's always he gives God the glory and everything. That's why I think
Mhm.
it says that he's a man after God's own heart because he never thought it was about him.
Mm-mm.
Well, except for that one time with Nabal, but And there's probably a few, nobody's
Yeah.
perfect, but in the
I mean,
heart of
he
heart,
eventually the whole Bathsheba thing. So like,
yeah.
you know,
And these are just a few highlights we know of his life. Nobody's highlighting our life because, child, ooh, my chapter would be really bad. But
oof.
um, yeah, I feel like he was always like, and I try to be like that too. I feel like we all should be like that. Like, no matter what's going on, we know that God is in control. We
Mhm.
know that God is with us. We know that God is going to take care of our enemies. We don't have to. And that's how I feel like he operated his life. That God was always first. There were sometimes he wasn't, but for the most part, God was always who he gave the credit to, who he loved. He loved God so much. Like
Yeah.
the Psalms, I read a Psalm today. I'm going to post it tomorrow. Um, it says like, Lord, I love you more than life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's a man after God's own heart. He is telling the truth. I love you more than life.
Yeah.
That is to me, that hits me hard. So
Yeah.
I think that's why that he was just such a great worshiper, and I think that's how we all should be. I think worship is super essential. It's not just about what we know in the Bible, being book smart, knowing all the verses. Like worship is key. Like you got to know who's responsible for all this stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I guess that could be a good place to end. Could be. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it
That's
is.
good. That was good.
I think it is. So yeah, if you have any comments, anything else you think we missed on Samuel that you think, oh, y'all really have to do this topic, let us know in any comments, whatever platform you're watching or listening on. As always, hit all the buttons, subscribe, comment, like, hit them likes. We need the likes. The likes send us up. Um, Leave a review. I haven't seen any reviews. I'm gonna keep saying it. Y'all must not be getting to the end of this recording.
Oh,
Okay. Leave a review. Um, and that's it. That's all I got to say. I'm about to go eat some food.
same.
All right, so we will bid you guys adieu.
Bye.
Bye.